On September 7, 2006, 4 days before the 5th anniversary of 9/11, Silverstein Properties unveiled designs for the 3 new skyscrapers that the company is building at the World Trade Center site. The Pritzker Prize-winning architects, Norman Foster, Richard Rogers, and Fumihiko Maki, presented their concepts to a worldwide media audience. This milestone marked the end of years of political and emotional turmoil at Ground Zero and the beginning of an unprecedented 18-month collaborative design effort. The public reaction to the rollout in September of 2006 of our conceptual design for the 3 buildings was almost uniformly positive. We got very good reviews and enthusiasm from the design press, from the architecture press. Though, of course, it's New York and it's the capital of design sensibility, so everybody's going to have their own favorite buildings, but there was a really strong and uniform sense that these were all world-class architectural designs.
An interesting aspect of this project is how closely the buildings reflect the personality of the principal designers. The Maki building is a quiet, reflective building, very much in the mold of Mr. Maki, who is an elegant, soft-spoken gentleman.
It's such a unique but very intensive sort of a site.
Tower 3 is a very robust building, showing the muscles of the building, and Richard Rogers, a very dynamic personality.
The idea that there should be reaching upwards and that they could extend the idea of man in the sky.
And Norman Foster's building is a reflection of Norman's style of design and his personality.
The cluster and the individual buildings are about looking forward, but also, as I'll seek to show, also about respecting and honouring the past.
Each of the buildings is different, reflects the language of each architect, yet each building respects each other, and each building respects the memorial park directly across the street from the buildings.
When we agreed to hire these 3 premier architectural firms, we made it a condition that they would agree to send people here and to sit side by side with the other architects and professionals and to make sure that all of the elements of this project would be carefully integrated so it would function well as a whole and that there wouldn't be any mismatches either technically or aesthetically. One of the most exciting pieces of this whole historic effort has been to see how these 100-plus people who have come together from all over the world have risen to the occasion of designing this incredibly complex project. They've worked side by side, literally day and night, weekends, holidays, to meet the deadlines that this project established for the design, and they've met every single milestone on time.
And we have this route coming in here, which is also escalators coming up, bringing people up into this level, which is a mezzanine level. We're striving to provide something very special for this site, to produce the best architecture we can within the constraints we have. It's such a special site. We want to give as much as we can to New York.
What's this aberration? That aberration, Larry, is probably going to have to be a few steps at that position. Oh, that's graded out.
I think that the design itself ought to exude its strength in the way that the structure is expressed on the outside of the building. It should have a legibility that people can see the building and see how it's held up. They can see how strong the building appears in its appearance structurally in the building. So I think that's something that we've tried to put quite a lot of focus into, to actually get that legibility reading on the outside of the building.
Although we can have technically a 1-inch joint, aesthetically that would not look nice because in certain locations you'll totally lose the joint. Given the irregular shape, we were experimenting with triangulating the building form. An acute angle and an obtuse angle comes, automatically from the triangulation. And the site geometry automatically determined the acute angle, which we like very much because it dematerialized the building and make it look very light.
You're arriving at the front door of T2. It's a pretty dramatic arrival because you enter on a 70-foot high, very transparent glass wall, walk through that front door, you're immediately greeted by a core that's a combination of reflective stainless steel and aluminum mesh behind glass and highly polished black stone. The mesh has a high reflectance, and therefore it draws the eye where you want to go, which is at the portals into the elevator lobby. Make that transition to whatever floor you happen to be going on, up to your office, and off you go to your desk, and you have terrific views around the perimeter of the site.
Whether you're coming in off the street or off the transportation network and entering through the transit lobby, you'd be coming out of the hustle and bustle that is typical of New York into a very warm elevator lobby with a destination dispatch system. You swipe your card, you're directed to your elevator, and off you go to your floor. Upon arriving on your floor, if you're on a trading floor, you're put right into the middle of things. If you're up on one of the tower office floors, again, you're off of a center core configuration into a reception area, and you immediately begin to experience the vistas around the city.
The lobby, which opens up to the memorial, it's a 47-foot-high lobby space. The back wall is going to be made out of black polished granite and allows reflection of the memorial back into the lobby space. So once you're inside the lobby, you'll be surrounded by this vision of the memorial on both sides.
Looking back, people look at one project, they do one project, but this is really 4 projects, at least for the East Bathtub. It's quite significant. It's 3 super tall buildings and 1 complex transportation hub, all sharing or playing in the same sandbox.
In order to rejuvenate and to engage the community in the buildings, the transparency at each level is not only consistent with the design approach for each of the designers, but also is consistent with opening retail, presenting merchandise, and engaging the passersby as much as possible in the interior of the podiums. It's a dance of coordination and detailing to ensure that we're all talking to one another and everything joins together as if it's a single piece of architecture.
I think recognition, and a good deal of recognition, should be paid to Adamson, who's responsible for the contract drawings, Lyra for structure, Cantor-Scenic, also structural engineering, and JB&B for mechanical engineering. These people who toiled long and hard, I think, did a superb job.
Our real objective is to enhance, articulate, and ultimately deliver a vision which is created by the design architects Mackey, Rogers, and Foster. So our role is to deliver a vision that's created with them, help them articulate it, and then represent this as a set of construction documents that can be competitively bid, awarded, and ultimately used to construct this.
Larry got very, very hands-on in literally all of the nuts and bolts of how these buildings are designed.
Larry is an energetic guy, and he's a pleasure to work with, and his energy actually permeated the entire team assembled, and you could feel it. His enthusiasm and drive was something that we all felt was good.
Yeah, I think the word energy sort of sums it all up. When he walked into the room, kind of everyone sort of brightened up and perked up, and he's a tremendous inspiration to everyone here.
Yeah, energy. I can't say that word enough to describe Larry. It's just amazing how he leads all of us into being better at what we're doing.
I think Larry had so much energy, we got an extra lead point out of it.
This was a group effort, if ever we found one. It was just, from my vantage point, a privilege to be able to work with this extraordinary team. I couldn't help but extend a debt of deepest gratitude to each of them because their efforts were extraordinary. And I'm looking forward to 2012 and 2013 with great anticipation.